In this video, we're going to learn how to set up reference images for modeling. Alright, so let's go ahead and create a plane here in the front view. So I'm going to left click and drag it out, and then I'm going to go to the Modify panel, and I'm going to adjust the length and width to 200, and then I'm going to adjust the length and width segments to 1. Now with this, I'm also going to grab my Move tool, and I'm going to set the X value to 0 and the Z value to 0. Now Y is already at 0, so we don't need to type that in. Let's go ahead and hit Alt W so we can expand the screen here. And what I want to do is I want to start applying materials to these planes. And we're going to apply the different images or different sides of the drone that we're going to be modeling. So let's go to Material Editor. We're going to drag in a standard material and then double click on the diffuse color input, and this will bring up your material map browser. Double click on bitmap, and this should bring you to the images folder of your project folder. So with this, let's go ahead and use drone front, and I'm going to hit open, and you'll notice that the image has attached itself to the material. Now double click on that material and adjust the self illumination all the way up to 100. I also want to turn on Show Shaded Material in Viewport, and that will show me this red slash through the material, and that lets me know that the texture will show up inside of the viewport as we're modeling. Now with this one, let's go ahead and hold down Shift and create 4 more of these for the different views that we're going to have. Now you'll notice that they are staying attached to the reference image that I created. What I want to do is I want to detach those. So left click and drag off the input, and that should detach it from the material. So we'll do that for all of those. And then I'm going to double click on the diffuse color of each one and choose a different image. So it's the same steps. On this one we're going to do left or profile. This one we're going to do the top. The next one we will do bottom. And then the last one we will do back. And there we go. So I have all of those ready to go. Now they're ready to be assigned to the different material pieces. Let's make sure that all of these have Show Shaded Material in Viewport turned on, just so that way we don't forget about it. And then with the first material selected, let's hit Assign Material to Selection. In this case, we have Plane 001 selected. Let's go ahead and give it a name. We're going to call it Ref Image underscore front. Hit Enter. There we go. And then let's minimize the material editor for a moment, and let's grab the rotation tool by hitting E. And we're going to turn on Angle Snap because I'm going to duplicate or clone this plane for the next set of planes that I need. So I'm going to hold down Shift and then rotate along the Z axis, and I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees. Let's go ahead and call this front or Ref Image Profile. And then we're going to go to the Material Editor. Let's choose the Profile Material and assign to that. And then with this one, we're going to rotate it along the Y. Hold down Shift, rotate it positive 90 degrees. And we're going to call this one Ref Top. And then I'm going to hold Shift and rotate this one 180 degrees. Let's call this Ref Bottom. And then we need one more, which is going to be the back. Let me select the front image. So here you can see front. Hold down Shift, rotate it 180 degrees. And then we'll call this one Ref Image underscore back. All right. So now let's go ahead and select each one of those and then apply the material that we need. So in this case, we have the bottom reference image selected. So we're going to go ahead and bring up the material editor. And in this, this is the top. This one is the bottom. So double click on that. And then we will simply assign to selection. We have our front already. Let's grab the back, and that's going to be the very bottom one. Then we have profile, that one's already been assigned. Now we have the top, which is right here. let's assign that. All right, so now all of our images should be assigned. Let's go ahead and close this, and then I need to separate them from one another so that way we can actually model. Now this might seem a little confusing at first because we're going to position these a little bit differently. So what I want to do is I want to grab the reference image front, and I'm going to push it in the Y direction in a positive direction. So in this case we're going to do 200 and hit enter. So it appears as though we're pushing it toward the rear of the drone. It might seem like it should come out front, but I want them to where the view is out in front of the model. So here's where we're going to be viewing it from. The model is going to be here in the middle, and then the reference image is going to be behind. And then let's go ahead and do the bottom reference image. And in this case, we're going to go positive Z, because if I'm viewing it from the bottom, I want to be able to see the reference image and the model between that. Okay? So the view is down here, the model is here, and then the reference image is going to be up here. So let's do positive 200 on the Z for that one. And then we have our profile. Let's actually do the back first. Let's do negative 200 and the Y. And it looks, yeah, I have the back there. And then we have our profile. Let's do positive 200 in the X. And then the bottom, or actually this is the top, excuse me, we're going to do negative 200. All right, so it should look something like this. Now with these, let's select all of them, and then I'm going to right-click and go to Object Properties. I want to turn off this Show Frozen in Gray, so that way whenever I freeze them, they will always have the texture showing. Speaking of freezing, let's go ahead and freeze those objects, and then turn on Backface Cull, because I want to be able to see through the reference image, the backside of the reference image as I'm modeling. So with that turned on, watch what happens. Notice right here we can see the backside of that polygon. If I hit OK on that, you'll see that it disappears. Now it's still there, we can only see the actual facing of the polygon itself. So looking down from the top, we can see it there, and looking from the top, and everything looks good. Now if yours is backwards, okay, what you would want to do is rotate the reference image. Okay, so rotate it 180 degrees to get the facing, the plane. So the bottom should be facing down, the top should be facing up, just like this. All right, and then our model is going to be right here in the middle, and we're going to be able to switch to the different views from this maximized viewport. So if I hit F on the keyboard, you'll notice it's not showing anything because that's because I'm in wireframe mode. So let's go to default shading. There we go. Let's hit G to turn off that grid. Let's hit L to go to our left view or our profile. Let's turn on default shading. Hit G to remove that. Then let's go to, see we did front, left, let's do top, hitting T. Let's go to the wireframe, default shading, hit G to turn off the grid. And then we're going to go to the back view, which is V on the keyboard, and then K. You'll see that's there. And then we're going to do B for bottom, and you'll see that that's there. So we have all of these reference images, and we can always hit P to go back to our perspective view and view the image in 3D or in a perspective type view. So now that we have all of those references set up, we can now begin the modeling process. So in the next module, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be talking about how to block in basic forms. We're going to learn the process of looking at a model, figuring out the basic shapes, applying those principles, and starting to work with some of the different tools of modeling like the extrude tool, the chamfer tool, and even something like the ring and connect workflow, which I like to use. And we'll talk about lots of different tools as we're modeling and going throughout this process. So I'll see you in the next module.